That's the spooky music. That's how you know what time it is. Got a little head nod going?
Yeah, I feel like getting down a little bit.
All right. Hey, guys. We are live. I've been meaning to do that. Yeah. Wait, hold on. I gotta close out my YouTube. I'm echoing. All right. Hey, guys. We are live, and I've been meaning to do this for a long time, and I'm here with Kevin Thompson. Kevin Thompson is a certified financial planner. He's an enrolled agent. I don't know what RICP is, but I'm sure it's
alphabet soup, man. That's
okay.
All it is.
He's an all-around good dude is the point. And we wanted to do this at lunchtime, but I had some conflicts on my end. But whatever. We have some stuff that we want to get to today that I think is pretty important. Kevin always has, what's the best way for me to say this? You really have your finger on the pulse of like what advisors are talking about amongst each other. I feel that you have your finger on that pulse better than most people I know. You think that's true?
Well, I find that a lot of people want to argue about a lot of different things, and I try to come into those arguments and try to say, hey, there's two sides to every story, and I want to kind of go in the middle there and say, hey, well, have you thought about it this way? Have you thought about it this way?
Actually, you're that was the other thing I wanted to say about you. You're pretty good at diffusing conflict, and look, some of these topics, like, we're not all going to agree. That's just the way it's going to be. We're not going to find a consensus, really. We're going to say, look, I think this, you think that. But somebody has to come along and diffuse it, and I think you do a pretty good job with that.
100%. Like, because, people are just, everybody's emotional right now. Everybody's got to woosah a little bit and just kind of start thinking, okay, can I agree with this person's point of view, or you can't, or just move on.
All right, well, let's piss off half the audience. So, so last night, one of the funniest parts of the it wasn't the State of the Union, but it was a joint session of Congress, and it looked like a State of the Union for all intents and purposes. Maybe that's what it was. But like one of the funniest parts was when they were revealing all the things that Elon Musk and his Doge team have found, were the Social Security payments going to people who are 120 years old, then 140 years old, and there was somebody with a birthday from 350 years ago who's collecting a check. It's probably like either glitches in the system or clerical errors and then a few scammers. Like, I don't believe it's a million people who have figured out this trick and it hasn't gotten out, that you could pretend to be your dead father because you're so-and-so junior. Like, I doubt it's fraud like that widespread, but maybe I'm wrong. But I think the Social Security angle of it is important because they're going there. And Social Security has always been considered the third rail of politics. Like, you don't touch it. And they're definitely touching it. So I wanted to ask you what you thought. First of all, what did you think of that segment last night?
Well, I'm always going back to the Sunset Strip with my man Richard Pryor, right? That's what that kind of representative of. But Social Security, I had the same conversation today with a client. They said, Kevin, I'm worried about my Social Security. She's 56. And I'm like, why? And she says, well, I'm continually hearing that it's not going to be there. And I'm like, let's take a step back, right? First off, the trust fund may be going insolvent, but that doesn't mean you're not going to get your benefits. Like, you have the system is fully like there for everybody until 2090. Now there's going to be reductions, maybe 17% reduction here and there, but the system is there for everybody to receive their benefits. The issue is, if nothing gets done, what does that look like moving forward? Yeah, the trust funds may go default, but again, people are going to get their benefits, and if they don't, there's going to be some rioting in the streets, and I guess I'll be there as well.
I don't know who scores any points by giving Americans the impression that it's not going to be there, but like, Elon Musk is openly referring to it as a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme, which other people have done too. Mm-hmm. He's not the only person to have said that. And I think like just the fact that it's even being talked about during a State of the Union-esque address, and the fact that people are looking closely at it, I guess that could make people nervous. You told your client she's not 156. She's 56, so they're not looking at her. You commented for a Newsweek piece, what happens if Social Security collapses in 30 days as ex-head predicts? What the hell is this? Martin O'Malley, who served as SSA commissioner, from December of 2023 to November of 2024. So long tenured. He was there for 11 months. He's saying aggressive cuts could lead to a system collapse within 30 to 90 days. Why is he saying that?
Because his feelings are hurt. I mean, that's his bottom line. Everybody's feelings are hurt
him, right?
now. Yeah. Everybody's feelings are hurt, and they want human nature is going to say, "I'm upset, so I want everyone else to be upset, just and feel like I feel." And that's basically what it is. So when somebody's hurt, they're going to say things to get other people up in arms, so they can all jump in the same swimming pool together and feel uneasy. Like I said in that article, I said this is absolutely ludicrous. I said this is not going to go anywhere. Is there going to be hiccups? Is there going to be payment issues? Quite possibly. They've been trying to get this system and technology up in this system for a long period of time, and it just hasn't been working. That's one thing I'll say about Doge. Hey, if they can get the system and make it more, technologically friendly and get the payments out and have less people do it, by all means, automate the system. Perfect. But again, the fear mongering to me, I just kind of just let it go over my head.
He said that on TV. He said that on TV. This guy.
Exactly.
I don't know the rest. I don't want to kill him because I don't know the rest of the of the context.
Sure.
But here's what is true. They're going to cut staffing levels from 57,000 to 50,000 employees.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound collapsy to me. And if they can reduce some of the wasteful payments that are maybe accidentally going out or fraudulently going out, I feel like if anything, that's an argument for the fact that they're going to strengthen it. I'm not like, I'm not wearing a MAGA hat as I say this, but it doesn't sound to me. Nothing that they're discussing sounds like they want the system to collapse. I think they face the same political reality as the blue team. Like you don't mess with Social Security. You don't win anything from messing with Social Security.
What does that hat say? Make America Ritholtz again over there. No, I'm just kidding with it. No, you don't. Because here's the deal. Over the last couple of years, the Social Security system and the amount of people went from 60,000 down to 57,000, and the amount of Social Security people that were actively helping people in the Social Security system. But here's the question you got to ask yourself: if you have 10,000 people retiring each day, turning 65 each day, is that number going down going to be a bigger benefit for those same 10,000 people that is growing exponentially every single day? I would suggest no.
Yeah.
I think we need more people. And if you look at, and this is one thing I kind of went back, if you look at the numbers since 1980, regards to the government and the staffing of the government and our population growth, it's almost, the number is less than 1% on both sides of the fence. So the government staffing has grown with our population. So I don't think there's any real issue there. But again, are there some parts of the government that are probably duplicative? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I guess I would just phrase it. There's tons of stuff that you can worry about right now.
Yeah. Of course.
This shouldn't be like they might be changing the faces that are on Mount Rushmore by the time this, you know what I mean? Like, so of all the things you're worrying about, this should probably be down on the list. Hey, we have a couple of people in the live chat. Say hello to MDB, cracking jokes early. Salute. Death Angel Z Onel. That doesn't sound intimidating at all. I'm not worried about that person. All right. I wanted to ask you about 401k hate.
Yeah.
So I guess this is like a recurring thing with financial advisors or finfluencers. Like every 6 months or so, there's like a little mushrooming of, oh my God, like they're hating on the 401ks again, but they are. And there are different motivations behind the people that are shit talking 401ks, and some of the stuff that people are saying I actually agree with.
Okay.
And some of it, it's like, I know who pays you, bro. Like you can't hide from me. But set this up for us, because you kind of went on your soapbox and you were like, guys, what are we doing here?
Yeah, well, soapbox. I got a big soapbox, as you know. I can sit there watching TV and I'll say, "Hey, I just have a thought." Boom, and I'll just put it out there and then see what happens with the engagement. But the issue I have is that people want to hate on 401ks. Oh, it's the taxes. You don't know what the taxes are going to be in the future because 90% tax rates, 1950. Okay, whatever. And I get it. I get what you're trying to sell. You're trying to sell an IUL or something like that. But the purpose of that conversation was that I was just saying, well, if you look at the match, like if you look at if it's 100% match up to 3%, what would be the tax rate you need to offset the match? You just have the amount you put in, and irrespective of rate of returns, and it came out to be like 57%. So I said, okay, you need a 57% tax rate at retirement
for
to offset
worthwhile.
what the employer gave you. I said, I'll take that bet every day of the week. If I'm getting a 100% match on my money, at 3%.
Cav, this is you.
Yeah.
This is the example that you used.
Yeah.
Let's say you make $100,000 a year, contribute 3% to your 401k, and your employer offers a 100% match. You do this for 20 years, assume a return
up to 3%. Up to 3%.
Up to 3%.
Yeah.
You do this for 20 years, and let's assume a 5% return annually, which I think is like reasonable.
Yeah.
It's not you're not like expecting the moon and the stars.
No, I'm not investing with Ritholtz.
Right, that's right. So over time, your contributions grow and your employer's match compounds right alongside them. By the end of 20 years, you have a substantial nest egg. What about taxes? Assuming you were in a 24% tax bracket while working, at what tax rate in retirement would your employer match become worthless? Meaning like, all right, I earned this employer match, but it wasn't worth it. And your answer is like 57%. Yeah. So if you're going to be taxed 60% in retirement, even in that scenario, you still come out ahead. And then people are like, there's two things people are saying back to you. Mm-hmm. They're saying 5%, you wish. All right. I mean, maybe. Mm-hmm. The other thing they're saying is, how do you know what the tax rate's going to be? Look at the budget, look at the deficit, look at this, look at that. It's unlikely wealthy people are going to get away with a tax rate similar to what it is today, 25 years from now. Yeah. We don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like in both cases, we don't know.
Yeah. The beauty about that was the fact that rate of returns don't matter. If it's 1%, 0%, it's still 57%. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter.
Why? Second thing, because you're earning the rate of return outside of the 401k too.
Exactly. So it doesn't.
So whatever it is,
irrespective. It's
okay,
irrespective. It's irrespective. So two, the other thing was all I'm talking about is the match. Like I don't like. I'm putting $1 in, and they're giving me another $1. Like the rate of return on that itself is just like, why wouldn't I ever do that? And and people want to say, well, if you just put money into an IUL or this, that, and the other, you can get this after tax, after fee income stream for the rest of your life. Hey, sell what you want to sell, but just do it.
Let's pause on that. Let's pause on that. So IUL I know it's advisors in the room and listening, but let's double click. Jared in Wisconsin in the chat says, don't invest in your 401k. Buy this whole life policy instead. Of course, he's being facetious. Also want to say hello to Nick Van Loo, who joined us. What's up, Nick? What's with the IUL thing? This is what insurance-based advisors are pitching instead of a 401. If you work at a company, you just ignore the 401k because the IUL is better? Is that the pitch?
I guess. Shout out to my boy Andy Ponco. This is his step. That's what he talks about all the time. But for me, I've been in that world, and the first thing they're going to tell you at those institutions is the most important thing in life is your life insurance policy, and everything else comes after that. That's what I was told when at one of the big four.
I understand
mutual funds. But again, I don't agree with it, but it is what it is.
Okay, so they would say that there's a greater tax benefit or a greater something benefit to the indexed. What is it? Indexed.
Universal life, yeah.
Index universal life. It's like a better version of a mutual fund held inside a 401k. Why? What's the pitch?
I guess the pitch. Well, hey, I'm not for it, but I guess the pitch is that.
Pitch me like you are. Pitch me like you're
okay. Okay. So the pitch is, hey, there's guarantees attached to this. It will never go down.
Right.
And you can put the money in, and over time you're gonna have a tax-free income stream coming out of this product. By the way, you're gonna have a death benefit
forever.
Yeah, and you can have a death benefit attached to it as well. So you're gonna get either or. You have a permanent life insurance death benefit. You have an index-linked return where you don't have to worry about losses, and of course you can have tax-free withdrawals. There you go.
Okay. The negative is it's complicated. The fees are high. You can probably do better on your own with a low-cost index fund if you're willing to accept more of a risk of drawdowns and no guarantee, which of course we don't have.
Yeah.
So this is like up to the client to decide, and clients aren't particularly sophisticated to be able to do that side by side. They're also not great predictors of their own behavior. And let's be honest, you've met a million clients, a potential client, so have I. Some of them would be better off with a guarantee and to never have to talk about it or think about it ever again.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be better off financially. They'd, like in some cases, they'd be better off emotionally. So some of this is not about the numbers.
There you go. It is about emotion for sure. You're 100% accurate, 100% correct on that.
Now Andy Panko's going to show up like the Candyman, and want to shout out Kaylee Perviance. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize if I'm not. And DJ M in the chat. What's up, guys? DJ M reminds me, Michael Batnick says, buy an IUL after your 10th rental property.
That's great.
Shout to Batnick. All right. Last thing I wanted to do with you while I have you, 3 reasons clients leave their advisor. Let me set this up.
Yeah.
You said, I always ask prospects about their recent experiences with advisors. The same 3 complaints come up over and over again. None of it has to do with cost. All right. Hit me. What are they?
Yeah. Well, one is like the lack of communication. I don't understand it. So people always ask me, I'm assuming you have the same kind of thought process. I have a YouTube channel. I have a blog. I have newsletters. I do all of this stuff, not just because of what I want. It's because I know my clients are getting the same information if I can provide that information to them. These are touches. These are easy touches. I don't have to have that phone call every single day. So that's the reason. That's the number one reason why I do that.
So they're not hearing from the person that they're expecting to hear from, which leads them to start talking to other people or listening to what other people are saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would put that. I don't know if these are are these in any particular order or
no. We're just talking.
Are these your top 3 or just 3?
Just 3. Just my 3.
Just 3. Okay.
Just 3. Yeah. I said 3.
I would put that top 5. Like for me, I would say that's a top 5, maybe even a top 3, though.
Yeah. Like the lack of communication.
Here's another one you did. Their advisor didn't go the extra mile. What do you mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about like service, like people are trying to go in and just provide a product or just give somebody a solution, and they're not necessarily finding the tax advantages, not necessarily going in and seeing exactly what they're actually talking about. Like I told a friend a couple of days ago, I said, hey, he was worried about talking to a client. Like, I don't think she's going to stay with me. I said, all you got to do is ask her how she's feeling and let her talk. And that's the kind of stuff that's beyond just the numbers. It's going the extra mile, listening and having a real conversation with people, because a lot of this stuff has nothing to do with returns. It's about just emotions.
Dude, it's so fun. As you're saying that, it's so funny. One of the advisors at my firm, one of the senior advisors at my firm, he's down south. He's like a Jedi. He doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. The client is like talking out their problem and then sort of solving it, and he's like nudging the client along toward figuring out what they want. Well, like problems of like, what do I really want? Or I have to make a decision between these 2 things. He doesn't even talk. And like by the end of the call, the client's, thank you so much. And he told me, he's like, in a lot of cases, like they knew the answer all along, but you have to facilitate the route to get to that answer and be helpful along the way. It's crazy. That's a really good point. But then you mentioned like whether it's taxes or a big financial decision, clients want more than just surface level advice. And I think that's a good segue into your 3rd reason, because it's sort of similar. The advisor's only focused on investments. Yeah. So I mean, we know. I call them stock jockeys, and that's what I used to be. Yeah. So I don't mean that in a pejorative sense, but there are a lot of advisors that's the way they were trained in the 90s, the 2000s, and that's what their clients expect from them, and that's what they're doing. Yeah. Like we're buying these stocks and we're selling these muni bonds, and this is what we're doing.
And what's going to end up happening? And what's going to end up happening? They're going to get left behind. Like this is not Merrill Lynch anymore, right? This is about, hey, okay, I'm paying you a 1% fee. sometimes it's $10,000, $12,000 a year, $15,000, $20,000 a year. What else are you doing for me? I got such and such Kevin Thompson over here that's going to do some estate planning with some of the technology that he's using. He's going to do some tax planning. He's an EA. He's going to go look at all my tax, my 1040s. He's going to go through all of that. He has access to these certain attorneys and all of this other stuff. He's going to look at this debt, my debt to income ratios, and he's going to build these things out for me. But what are you going to do for me outside? Oh, and by the way, he's going to include his investment management in there as well.
So here's the thing: if I'm a stock jockey at, not to pick on any particular firm, I'm at UBS and I have sold my value add to clients for 20 years, since Payne Weber. And I'm telling clients, like, my goal is to do 5% better than the S&P.
Okay.
Like, obviously, you're not doing that every year. Because if you were, you wouldn't be a financial advisor. You'd be Izzy Englander. You'd be building Millennium. But it doesn't matter. Be that as it may. Let's say you happen to have picked a couple of good SMA managers and you happen to have, found, you bought people like NVIDIA or whatever. Like, let's say you were able to actually put up big numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know if those clients are like, but be holistic. Like, I feel like those clients are like, you know what, dude, you told me what you were going to do and you did it. And here's my cousin's phone number. He wants to hear about your stocks too. Like,
I agree.
That's a real thing that exists out there still.
I agree. But here's the question you have to ask yourself. Is a downturn, or are my clients going to leave me because of a single downturn, or they're going to leave that other advisor because of a single downturn? And he didn't provide.
Who's more susceptible to losing clients in a bear market?
Exactly.
I don't know. How'd I do in the bear market? you see what I mean, though?
I got you. Yeah, for sure.
Because you have advisor A. You have advisor A who's like, I'm doing bill pay. I'm looking at your insurance needs. Blah blah blah. Sure. Advisor B is like, yo, we just smoked the S&P 500 again. All I did was overweight NASDAQ. Nothing fancy. We crushed it again. Like, our performance is 3x the market over the last 10 years, which is a thing. Okay. It's like, no, I don't care about your taxes. Call an account. Call H&R Block. I'm busy crushing the market for you. I think the holistic advisor has the edge there long term. Yeah, like you and I are on the same page. If you're doing financial planning work for that client, ultimately, the stock jockey's going to screw up, or he's going to miss a market turn or something. And that's a more precarious relationship because it's about alpha, and alpha comes and goes. But in year 3 of a raging bull market, that's a really tough account to dislodge, right?
Sure.
Like that's.
I agree.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with
that. What are some other reasons clients leave advisors? What else you got? I got a few.
I mean, you give me one. Like I said, like for me, I just think that, it's all about trust. And bottom line, I've always said this. I said, your client doesn't care about the charts and all the graphs. The reality is, do they like you? Do they? Are 100%. You like when you call someone? Are they going to be like, God dang it, not going to answer the phone? Are they going to be like, I'm happy to see that Kevin's calling me, and they just want to shoot the shit? That's it.
The minute they feel like a conversation with their advisor is a chore, like it's like at the dentist, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So those conversations have to be like, they have to be like emotionally uplifting. They have to end on a high note, no matter what's going on in the market, and sometimes no matter what's going on in the client's life. Because if they consistently end on a down note, that client's going to start dodging your calls.
I tell people this all the time. I said, I rarely have client conversations about their portfolios. We're just talking about just day-to-day stuff. Like how's your healthcare thing going? Oh, I had surgery last weekend. Oh, that's more valuable than you saying you got a 5% return this quarter, and nobody cares about it. They care about you caring about them. That's just my opinion.
Okay, I'll give you one. Screw up somebody's taxes.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna.
That might be the most instant loss of a client. Like, I provided the wrong information to your accountant, or if you're doing the actual filing, sorry, I'm 3 days late. I got to file for an extension for you. That's like, now you lose the whatever tax revenue you were charging, and you lose the wealth relationship. You're done.
Yeah, that's why I try to stay away. Even though I have the EA right there, I get it, but I haven't ventured in that world yet. I am doing some tax work, but I'm not doing any tax prep. That's the big difference there.
Yeah, that's a big one. Cybersecurity breach. Instant loss of trust.
Well, yes and no, because this is what everybody's going to say. This is what the big banks and all the grocery stores and all the cybersecurity. Your information is already out there. So what's the difference? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or like you had a weak password. You haven't changed your password in years. Etc. All right. I can see that one though becoming like a bigger and bigger issue, depending on what the fallout is as a result of it.
Absolutely. But there's all these things.
Here's one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's one. Wife or husband was never really on board from the start. This is a big one.
Yes.
And you and I are going to run into this more than a lot of other advisors who are onboarding clients.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of cases, the wife is like a huge fan of what we're saying and what we're doing, or the husband is. Yeah. And the other spouse is not listening to our podcast. So the other spouse is like, what is this about again? Yeah. Like, all right, you cannot onboard a household. Needless to say, but we're going to say it. Cannot onboard a household without all of the stakeholders in that household. Anyone who is an adult within that household being on board with what we're doing. What are the goals 100%. That we're setting out? How are we investing? So that's a big one to me.
100%, man. You're right on board with that. I agree. I concur.
Where would you put trailing the stock market? Where would you put that? It's got to be in the top 10, but maybe it's 10. Maybe it's like number 9 or 10.
It just depends on how you're trailing. Like if you're just indexed and you're saying, hey, a 60-40 portfolio and the market did 10, you did 9.6. Okay,
that's not the problem these days. The problem these days is if I put you in a dividend focused value stock strategy 5 years ago, I'm not just trailing the S&P 500 by a lil. I'm losing to like your grandkids' Robinhood accounts. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you this. I had a client at my prior firm, and we had I don't want to say any names, but we had a portfolio that was so the State Streets of the world, or the dimensional funds of the world, quote unquote. They were value focused, heavy value focused, and I was like, I tried to run with it for 4 years, and I was like, oh, value's coming back. Back. I ended up losing that client. I was like,
that's been a tough. Listen, there's a lot of value focused asset managers that advisors use and like, and a lot of the origin of that predilection for value comes out of the 2000 crash. Yeah. Like if you were overweight value stocks in 2002, 2003, you were vacuuming up assets because you were the beneficiary of all of the advisors who blew their clients up in tech stocks. Yeah, and growth funds, and I was there. I remember it. Yeah. And unfortunately, if you stayed with that overweight, you've had a really shitty 10 years. Like you're apologizing almost all the time.
100%.
Yeah, that's a big one. All right, we should make a master. This is a fun exercise. We should make a master list, but we're at 2:59. We're at time. I want to just say thank you so much for finally allowing me to get this together. A couple of other people have joined the chat. Shout out to Patrick Ritter. Good to see you. And everyone else who's watching and listening and lurking. Thank you guys for joining. Kevin, where could people hear more from you? Give us the plug. What do you got?
Hey, go to the YouTube channel at 9iCap. You can go to my Substack at 9iCap or any social media channel, MLB2CFP. We appreciate it, man. And of course, 9iCapitalGroup.com, which is the website. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you.
All right, let me plug my thing and I'll get us out of here. This has been made possible by the Unlock channel on YouTube. If you're not subscribed and you're a financial advisor, really easy to do. And if you want the ongoing email blast, which is not very frequent, but we're putting some good stuff in there, it's advisorunlock.com, I think is the URL. I might be wrong. We'll put it in the show notes. Kevin, thank you. Kevin, thank you so much. Let's do this again, and let's not wait so long. Thanks to everyone for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you, brother.